most fundamental idea at the heart of modern psychotherapy is that in order to heal ourselves from our neuroses in the present, we've got to understand what went on in our childhoods. Though this thesis makes impeccable theoretical sense, there's one enormous problem with it: amnesia. Simply put, almost no adult remembers a single thing that happened to them before they were 3 years old. Countless days and nights, a succession of complicated moods, sensations, and events will have vanished into thin air like a library of precious books that sent up in smoke or dumped unceremoniously into the sea. Furthermore, most of us remember very little of what went on before we were 7. This may seem like an obvious point, but it has momentous implications. A period that we've identified as extremely important is also going to be entirely nebulous. Another basic fact of every childhood is that, even though the past may have been extremely strange and regrettable, it will also in key ways now seem rather normal and beyond easy analysis or questioning. Our childhood is quite literally what we've grown up with, and as we know what's always been around, has a habit of not signaling its oddity, we might sense that something was peculiar around our caregivers. But to really get a proper understanding of what these people were up to tends to be far beyond our ordinary powers. We prefer to think of something else and to run fast in an opposite direction. This fixes us in a conundrum which entrenches our neuroses, but there is one extremely useful way to make progress. We should look at ourselves in the present and start asking ourselves questions. Everything we need to know about the past is actually contained in what's going on for us right now. We don't need to try to remember all sorts of things that have in reality escaped our memories totally. We just need to check in on who we are today. The legacy of the past will be active, rich, and vibrant for better, and for worse, at every moment of our actual adult lives. So, one of the first questions we need to ask ourselves as archaeologists of our past is, what day-to-day in the adult world we are afraid of? Let's imagine a list of someone who is asked to complete the sentence, I am terrified of being thought an idiot, of being found ugly and unacceptable, of being humiliated, mocked, and rejected. I'm scared that people will be extremely nasty to me now. What we dread at the hands of everyone we meet, nowadays, is inevitably going to be a version of what we once feared at the hands of very specific caregivers, in a very specific and yet very forgotten childhood. This gives us a huge amount to go on. Indeed, it offers us nothing less than the tools for our recovery. It means that we can take our list as an archaeological map to guide our thinking. Self-questioning might go like this. Did someone terrify you of being an idiot? So who might it have been, and how did that happen? Did someone find you ugly and unacceptable? So what might have occurred here? Someone has, it seems, arbitrarily humiliated, mocked, and rejected you. Does that ring any bells? Someone probably gave you an experience of extreme nastiness. Is this somehow familiar? Though we might not be used to thinking in this way, with such prompts at hand. Vibrant thoughts may rise from the unconscious. We might get a new perspective on our caregivers and on what we underwent. Framed in this way, we might see with newfound clarity that quite a lot more was going on in those early days than we generally like to imagine. Then what will be the next step? We'll need to go back over the past with a lot of patience and courage, while also bearing in mind that what we've been projecting willy-nilly onto every man and woman in the present, and every difficulty we face, in the here and now, actually had very particular origins, which the more we understand them the more we will feel liberated and unburdened. Our future won't have to feel so constantly difficult or fear-laden once we can trace back its real difficulties to a point of origin. Psychotherapy is always insisted on and promised. Remembering truly will set us free.